The Shift Report with the Hood Mystic, where shift happens.
Peace to the tribe, peace to the collective. The Hood Mystic representing hoodmystic.com. Yeah, they squabbling. So I just want to do another video about manifesting money because I was just sitting here earlier today and something told me to read Tracy Twyman's book uh, called Solomon's Temple, which I thought it was ironic because Asmodeus, well, all demons in direct deal with Solomon, but Solomon metaphysically is the soul of the man. Anyway, Solomon's Temple, I'm reading it by Tracy Twyman. I just seen all of these notes that I took, and some of like I remembered, and like I have this information stored in my memory. I don't remember like really processing the notes, but I processed them today and decided to put together a little screen share in reference to the conversation. So, without further ado, let's just get into Manifest That Money 101 based upon a metaphysical outlook. So, first things first, why don't you pray for cowrie shells? Or why don't you pray for shekels? Or why don't you pray for pesos? Why do you pray for money? Because what if money is no longer the legal tender? What are you going to do? So, this is just to kind of get your brain to stretch out a little bit more because right now people will say, damn, I need money. Is there anything that I could do to get money? I wish I could make more money. And you think about money, 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 money. However, 99% of human life have existed without money. Like life have existed without money. Humans have existed roughly for 2.4 million years. And in those 2.4 million years, humans have existed without money. The ways for which humans survived and lived was through barter and trade for most of history. The invention of money is not humans thinking, man, we need an easier system. I don't want to, barter and trade no more. When you really get into the concept of money, you're talking about an insidious I was gonna say demonic, but it's not necessarily demonic in a negative spiritual way. It's demonic in the sense where it got you up out your house, it breaks up families, it makes children be sad that they don't have the latest and greatest. All of these things that the world needs money to survive and thrive on have done more harm than good because God gives you everything within reality. You don't need money to grow crops. You don't need money to love, to have strong connections, to like really build. a business, develop talent to write a song. You don't need money to learn how to play the guitar. You don't need money to learn how to do ballet. You don't need money to learn how to do artistic talents. And I know it's relative, right? Well, I need to buy ballet shoes. They cost $140 or some shit like that. I understand that. But for the most part, the continuation of a skill, talent, and ability. I have to buy beads so I can make beads. The beads don't make themselves. Like, I understand that. But the deeper concept that we're talking about is what skill, talent, and ability can you cultivate and work on. So if people are paying in Bitcoin, your ass can make Bitcoin. If people are paying in mucho dinero, your ass is making mucho dinero. If Mexico do a military attack tomorrow and take over the whole entire country, and instead of dollars, we're using pesos, you have the skills, talents, and abilities to manifest money. Because the concept of money will have you going to work. Because your job pays you in money in the ways that your job is able to exist and grow is through taxes. If your job just say, you know what, we ain't about to fuck with these taxes, fuck these taxes, it's no longer a job no more because they out of business. The bigger the company, the more that they are in bed with the government through taxes. Taxes are a monetary system that require dollars. That you can't pay your taxes in shekels, can't pay your taxes in dinero. You have to pay your taxes in dollar, and therein is the rundown. That's the rub. So 0.2% of human history, that's the fraction of time that humans have used currency systems. So 99.8% of your DNA is already primed and ready for you to live your best life. It is this 0.2% that you use to connect to survival. Damn, I forgot the second one. It's survival. You use money. You connect it to, oh yeah, you connect it to survival and emotions. If somebody said, oh, you won $1 million, you would be happy. If your bank account is negative $100, you sad. If you lose your job, you thinking, how am I going to eat? How am I going to take care of how am I going to take care of my family? If your emotions is centered on that, you will create that vibration. I don't work a traditional 9 to 5 job, and I haven't worked a traditional 9 to 5 job in a long time. But I also don't program myself to say, now that I don't have a job, how am I going to feed my family? Either. You have to actually have a metaphysical blueprint before you sign up to go to college and get a career and get a job, because within that particular paradigm, you are in what is called a Ponzi scheme or a pyramid scheme. Most of human existence was based on barter and reciprocity. And that's even today. The more you build up your energy, the more you build up your value, the more you develop your skill, talent, or ability, people will throw money at you. Whether I was selling herbs, whether I was selling psilocybin, whether I was selling 59.99 specials on Backpage and Craigslist, I did a double dual sale. I was manifesting. I had this thing. I remember I had this weird play with Percocets. It was so weird, but I was making like $1,000 a week just off one sale. That's just how I live my life. I just don't give myself that option to fail. And it is going to happen one way or another because my mind is so fixated and focused on it. So before currency, humans exchanged goods, labor, and protection through bartering systems. Community thrived on kinship bonds and spiritual reciprocity rather than monetary transactions. So the monetary transactions, you trying to manifest money, and your number one go to is getting a job. That's like coloring inside the lines or something, talking about you a world renowned artist. Yeah, you got a job. Big deal. They give you direct deposit every 2 weeks. And let's hope they stay in business so you can continue to go to Whole Foods and things of that nature, pay your rent and things of that nature. If you having trouble with manifesting money, are you serious about cultivating your skills, talents, and abilities? Is that on the forefront of your mind? Because the deeper aspect of money is that it's just metal and paper. That's all it is. Numbers on a computer screen. I can type a whole bunch of numbers on the computer screen right now. Do that mean I got $10 billion? But you see it on the screen and it triggers something within your mind for positive or negative. But where did this thing come from? The birth of currency, it happened in steps. And we know that it happened in steps because currency is a man-made invention. Currency don't have anything to do with God. Money don't have nothing. God never shined down and rained down dollar bills. Niggas thought it was a strip club one day, started twerking in the middle of the field in ancient Sumeria. Nope. Some people got together and they tried many different things. They tried war, they've tried slavery, they've tried, weird tactics to control people. But the shit that control people is these coins and these dollars. That will subdue a whole millions of people. Billions of people are subdued. The understanding is that if you have a lot of money, you have freedom. And if you don't have money, you are in some form of prison. But the deeper reality is that you can make a certain amount of money and now your income is being taxed up to 50%. The more money you get, the more in bed with the government you got. And if you don't want to say, well, I don't make that amount of money, that's a crime. It's called tax evasion. So the idea is to understand the system, understand the legality of your business or your ministry, file your paperwork, and live righteously. Because the birth of currency comes from the the offerings to the goddess Ishtar. It is called sacred prostitution, where in Samaria, every young lady, when she turned of menstruation, she went to serve in the temple of Ishtar. And the only way she got to leave that temple is if a man would have sex and have sex with her. And the way that they were offered, because having sex with a young woman is the same as having sex with a virgin at that point, was the same as having sex with the goddess Ishtar. But you just can't have sex with the goddess Ishtar. You had to give her an offering. And this is the way that the government created the first Ponzi scheme. So the government have more wheat and more supplies than everybody else in the community because the government created what is called a shekel, and a farmer and craftsman would come down to this was the first tax. They would bring a bushel of wheat, and that bushel of wheat would create, you would get a coin. And you take that coin and you go down to the temple, give it to the young lady of your choice, make love to the goddess, and you fulfill a divine ritual. And that is the process of money. But the whole thing was the government to seize assets from everybody for all of everybody's life beyond life. That's why the thumbnail says death is just the beginning, because the reality of all of this shit is that we are spiritual beings that live on a scale of many, many lifetimes. So, once again, why don't you pray for cowrie shells? You did in another lifetime when you lived in Nigeria. Your ass was praying for cowrie shells because cowrie shells was the legal tender in Nigeria at a particular point in time. However, the first minted coins were in modern Turkey around 600 BC. But once again, when people created money, it wasn't for you to enjoy life. The government creates money, end of story, not for you to have it. They create it so they can control people through an ignorance of divinity, because we used to live through divine order and divine principle. You know what obstructs that divine order and divine principle? You know why your family don't have Sunday dinners no more? Because the work and the money and the reality, the rubber is hitting the road, is what is called um damn, entropy. It is what is called entropy. The more is like your kid's room when they don't clean it. Your kid's room don't automatically magically just get cleaner the more you don't clean it. The more you don't clean it, the more messier it gets. So what is happening is the same thing that happened in Rome. Rome conquered free people and created an empire full of free people and made them subjects of Rome through the coinage system. In America, we are descendants of free people, not descendants of slaves. We are descendants of free people. In Washington, D.C., Donald Trump, the government, the Congress, the Senate, the House of Representatives are, are put in to control us. And the way that they don't just control you, I mean, it depends on where you live at, but you might be in a suburb, nice neighborhood, your car, you paying fucking a car note, you paying a mortgage, you got all types of bills, but it's O fucking K because your job pay you 2,000 every 2 weeks or 5,000 every 2 weeks. That little piece that you feel is not real. Because soon as it get taken away, and you'll start to notice that the houses that they build that you paying 500,000 for, $1 million for, they falling apart. You can't really afford anything because everything is, because inflation is not even, it makes it impossible for you to even be able to afford anything. That's why you don't have Sunday dinners. That's why you and your family haven't talked, because the reality of the system of currency, the reality of a job, is not something that is human, is not something that is divine. It is something that is meant to enslave you to concepts that are man made. What God rained down dollar bills from the sky? What God rained down coins from the sky? The idea here is that you must develop who you are spiritually, and that is your currency. So, this is why I say money is spiritual. So we go from Turkey in 600 BC. In 269 BC, at the temple of Juno Moneta, right? Moneta is the same concept of us saying money, right? A silver denarius is the same as saying a dinero. A dinero is just a dollar, but all of it is rooted back to divinity. A silver denarius coin was minted in Juno's sacred temple. It merges the spiritual in the state power. But we don't understand this point because the government does not teach us about spiritual, and it's the separation of the church and the state. And then they give us Jesus and Christianity. They're not going to tell us the real deal geomancy, because here it is, the White House is located and situated at the tip of a pentagram, and the energies of every Capitol Hill, every city hall is literally siphoning geomantic power out of the earth to create the concepts and the ideas to keep people in a trance-like state so they can control them. When you awaken and you open up your mind, yeah, you might have a job, but you know what you need to do right now. You need to cultivate your skills, talents, and abilities to free yourself. I know somebody like, well, you be forgetting words and this, that, and the third. Yeah, I'm letting you know that you talk better than me, you look better than me, so you can make more money than me if you just really believe in yourself. The flaws prove the point that God is real. Juno, or Juno Moneta, is a movie called Juno that's really good. You should watch it. Is a divine guardian. Juno is, and this is a segue from the Sumerian shekel. Everything related to money is actually feminine. The concept of masculine, war, patriarchy is not even related to money. It's related to a system that takes you away from divinity, and that lack of knowledge and ignorance allows people to control you. Once you come back into your righteous self and your righteous mind, you are a magnetizing force. You are a God. If you feel like you are anything less than a God, then that's what you'll create for yourself. If you feel as though you're not able to, if you feel that this is your first lifetime, then that's your reality. But the facts are, you have a power far beyond your wildest dreams when you begin to stop chasing that which is not of God. Now, if it's a Bible verse of God creating dollar bills and making it rain, make it rain, I make it rain on them hoes. If that's a Bible verse in Ecclesiastes, please put it in the chat. The thing that people work so hard for, the thing that people think about so much, is not even related to God. It's not related to divinity. It's related to man-made concepts of control and manipulation. So the linguistics is there. Juno Moneta, where the first, now this is a Roman coin. This coin got distributed throughout the whole Roman legacy, but we have to understand that America is Rome. America is just Rome rebranded. Rome is the government. Rome is the politics, the propaganda, the US aid, the creating money out of thin air while you have to work for it just to spend it. And they tell you about slaves in 1865, but they don't tell you about the slaves in 2025. So what the coin did was allow the empire to expand and subjugate everybody that it conquered through taxation, because you cannot pay for taxes with your native coin. You, even if you do things, you have to convert it to the denarius so you can pay taxes, so you can buy food, so you can pay your rent. Which then, if your actual currency, nobody is using that any longer, you have to go to the places, the jobs, the situations where they're paying your actual currency. But the reality is this: we need to be in our homes developing skills, talents, and abilities so we can begin to attract real finances. So, just to give you a kind of run through of the control and conditioning of money, so you can not wish for it or want for it, you can just fixate and focus on who you are and what you need to do. So, once again, if they accepting Trump coin, you will have the skills, talents, and abilities to attract Trump coin so you can take 68 Trump coin and buy your kids some food, right? You don't need to wish for money because money is not real. God will give you whatever the legal tender is. Focus on your relationship with what is divine, and you will become a magnetizing force to your finances. It will come in the most inconspicuous ways, in the most weirdest ways, but it's not how you got to focus on. The how is never important. The how you'll reflect, like, I don't even know how I did that shit. Okay. So once again, we're talking about an ancient system: money, finances, banking. The interesting thing about the Roman temples and the creation of money is that now money is in banks. What does that tell you about banks? Banks are actually religious institutions because money is spiritual. Money is a spiritual device. Churches and banks got more in common than you actually realize. So Egypt controlled population through grain banks and mandatory work quotas. They tracked labor through record keeping, and grain served as both currency and taxation. Pharaohs leveraged debt as population control. So the more that you owe us, the more I can get you to do things. So in this day and time, the more poor you are, the more likely you're going to go to jail. If you ever been to prison, the number one thing in prison, in all prisons across the world, is that they're going to give you a job. They're going to give you a job. So Rome, which came later past Egypt, they perfected monetary control through widespread takeover and widespread coinage. They collected top taxes from every Roman citizen, and they enforced these taxes through military expansion. And they had to create roads to carry those taxes back and forth. So, what is the reason why there's highways and streets in this country? So the money can move. You think it's so you can go to your baby daddy house. If it was up to them, we would be walking through back alleys and making trails. This whole thing is about this system that everybody is under. So now our structures completely mirror the ancient control systems. You work, you pay taxes every time you get that goddamn paycheck. Every time you buy something, it's a tax on everything you buy. If it's a tax on everything you buy, that means that the system is not in reference to the profit, it's in reference to the taxes. Because if you ain't making profit, tough luck, pal, but you for sure gonna pay those taxes. And then the worst part of it all, you trade time for money. And the reason that you trade time for money is because your layer of consciousness. When you get into a deeper level of consciousness, and it's confusing a lot of times because you'll start something and it don't work out the way you want it to work out, and so you think that it's a problem. But the only problem is not an external effort that breeds success. It's an internal effort. It's a metaphysical blueprint and plan of what you are going to do every day. When people tell me about their ideas, I'm waiting to see how consistent they are on putting forth that idea on a daily basis. I will promote my business every day, one way or another, every single day for years, multiple times a day. I'm putting some form of my business out there in the zeitgeist because that's what it takes. What red pilled me to this whole situation, I did a campaign. My first, well, not even my first book, maybe my second or third book, I did a campaign, meaning that I did pre orders. I did a pre order campaign. I did a course run up to it. I talked about it every day. And I went from being afraid that I would sell any books to having like at least 200 to 300 pre orders right off the rip before I even started selling the book. So I didn't know that if you consistently work something for 21 to 30 days, it's not if. The problem is when it comes to survival and thriving, I can almost guarantee you give up before it's like that meme where you almost at the end and you just give up before it manifests because you don't understand the consistency necessary for or the repetition necessary for creating the subconscious habit. Man, I will be sitting here smoking a blunt and I will get an order or two or three. I will work out and get an order. I'll be chilling. I'll be enjoying my life. I enjoy my family. I enjoy my wife. I enjoy my free time. You, of course, I'm going to promote my business every day because I'm afraid. I'm afraid. I still got my Craigslist profile. You know what I'm saying? Got a lot of Craigslist points that I can turn in. And let's also think about the fact that like you're not teaching your kids. These molesting ass hoes is teaching your kids. These molesting ass niggas that's teaching your kids that got a sexual attraction to children. That's why they interested in being teachers. Cause let's keep it real. Who in the fuck want to be around a whole bunch of stranger ass kids for 8 hours a day for $40,000 a year when you can make more money on Backpage? You can make more money working from home, doing cam work or something like that. So the concepts of school is tied into slavery because nobody is if school if we only had money for 0.2% of modern history, we've only had schools for 0.1%, 0.003%. Like this is a 2000 1900 invention. The concept of school is related to money because now when you have to work for somebody else, imagine you in a village, an old timey anywhere, you wasn't never leaving the house. You was a shoemaker, you was a candle maker, you did intricate metal, you built furniture, you was a farmer. All of the shit that you needed was in the house. So if you're not maximizing your works, like my house is a house of work. It's basically a business. I don't got no couches and TVs and shit. It ain't no, hey, we about to come over there and chill out. No, you know, I don't do that. I'm not about to like, and think about how many motherfuckers have a job and now their home is a place of rest. But that job, you trading your time for money, and time, dog. Time. Oh my God. You don't get time back. Time is your most precious resource. So let's talk about today. Today, the dollar is a global reserve currency. However, it's still not a store of value. Anybody that have thousands of dollars in the bank, they're poor because the dollar is worth nothing. You take that dollar and you transfer it to something. You buy a product that you can sell at a higher value, or you buy a commodity that grows with interest over time. You just don't sit and save money. You keep the money that you need to get the things that you need, but any extra money you do not use as a store of value. You can make money by trading currency or investing in currency or investing in stocks. But this is in developing a skill, talent, or ability. I'm still studying Forex for real. I just be studying it. I don't really be trading because it's still something that I need to learn and develop. I'm eventually going to be a part time or full time trader, but I'm not just about to. It's just like you've been in school for 2 years. Now you ready to goddamn join the NBA just because you want to. No, you gotta get some more skills. You gotta get better. So right now, the dollar is not backed by anything but belief and military power. It's not even backed by gold. The reality is that we have forgotten the spiritual connection to money, even though you holding a talisman in your hand. It's a piece of paper that a nigga will beat your ass up over. Walk around the hood with $100 bill and just walk around and just hold it. Let niggas know you got $100 bill. They gonna take that shit. But it's just a piece of paper that don't have no value unto itself, only the belief. So that belief alone will break up a whole family. There you're going to say money isn't spiritual. Now instead of it being a tool, because how is money spiritual? Money is spiritual because you're using your God-given talent to attract. If it was oxes, if it was cowrie shells, it's bigger than money. It's your skills, talents, and abilities, your ability to know what to invest in, your ability to know what real estate to buy. You're using your cognition to make wise and sound decisions. That's very spiritual. What's not spiritual about money is when you get a job and now you trading your time for money. Or you got credit and you don't understand credit and it's just fucking your life up because you paying off interest. And therefore, you don't understand money. Therefore, they're using it to control you. And it's so crazy. Everybody wants it. Everybody needs it. But that's like just praying and wishing to go to jail one day. Money is an emotional tool. So in Blue Magic, we talk about different things that go from a scarcity mindset to a prosperity mindset because your mindset, the set of your mind, the ways for which your mind operates is that if you feel that you don't have enough, you'll never have enough. But if you always feel that you'll always have enough, you will always have enough. And this is just something that I know. Your mindset creates your reality. So before you start your day, before you go to bed, start developing a more prosperous mindset. And easy thing, easy way I can explain it, You get a bill and you like, damn, I don't know how I'm gonna pay this bill. No, you say, I got this bill and I know exactly how I'm gonna pay it. I'm going to pay it because I'm going to have more than enough to pay it because I'm going to work with my soul. Why would my soul put me in a bad position? It just won't. Shame mechanics. Financial status determines social worth and belonging. So that's another form of control, worrying about what other people feel about you. That's going to keep you broke. Because a lot of times people will get money and then they will just buy clothes. And then they will just buy cars and just like look a certain way just to let niggas know that they got certain amounts of money. But at the same time, they know not of the systems. So when it's all said and done, you got to keep going to work so you can keep doing that same thing over and over and over again. And then you watch TV. Like I watched, anytime I watch TV, I'm like, God damn, all these damn ads. Like everything is an ad. You watch sports and it's an ad on goddamn FanDuel draft picks. Like goddamn, we'll give you $500 if you lose 10,000. It'd be like, well, that's a good deal. They're going to give me $500. Yeah, but they said you got to lose 10,000 before they gave you 500. Well, that still seemed like a good deal. It's like I'm saying, I'm like, no, this whole shit is fucking you up. This whole system is fucking you up. You riding around looking at billboards. You think God created billboards, marketing, advertising to get you to buy something? So you don't got enough to buy it. So now you about to get a second job and all of the shit that you bought in your life. What does it matter now in this moment? Nothing. Therefore, you work in that job, you got money, it's providing you a false freedom. Money promises liberty, but you dependent on whatever is giving you that money. It's a different vibration, it's a different flow when you actually trust your skills, talents, and abilities. And for a lot of people, it's a large leap, but it's not as hard as you actually think. God, your spirit, man, you'll meet somebody that give you the blueprint. Like, yeah, you could just work with me. You're like, damn, I done had help. Any type of growth and develop came through a divine, miraculous occurrence that I can't even begin to explain other than God is real. So you think you can work here, work there. You think you can live here, live there, be with this person, be with that person. And all of this is some form of blocking an emotion that you're afraid of coming to the surface. Everything becomes a block. So it's not like you choosing that job because God helped you get that job. No, you just don't want to be homeless. The fact that you don't want to be homeless, the fact that you don't want to look broke, the fact that you don't want to, be talked about in the group chat is the reason why you'll get up early in the morning and work all day, come home and not do nothing in reference to your spiritual development. You'll get to it on the weekend. Now, money is saying when I get rich, I'm gonna go to Tahiti. I'm gonna travel the world. I'm gonna be a hype beast. I'm gonna get all of the latest Jordans. But the deepest reality is that you might want to be on a farm. You might want to be off the grid. You might want to be with your family. You might just want to have something more worthwhile that money can't buy. So our deepest desires become a manufacturing through a man-made concept called money. God did not create money. You can see it, you can just see it and understand the coin minting process. The person who invented the concept of making money and banking and all of this stuff actively created gods on earth through the modality of control because it created a second class of people that worked exclusively with money and had knowledge of money. So you have the elites, then you have the middle class, and then you have the lower class. The elites use the middle class as the go betweens of the lower class. So you got a fucking supervisor that live in a nicer neighborhood, that drive a nicer car, and he's willing to control you and not share information with you so he can keep his little shit. And you can keep playing that fucking 9 to 5 game all the fuck you want to play it and play it till you can't play it no more. Like there's nothing wrong with it, but let's talk about if you want to manifest money. First things first, money only works through the belief in it. If I show you a $20 bill, you got to believe it's a $20 bill. And if you got one of them little markers and you mark it and it show up purple, you no longer going to believe it's a $20 bill no more. You going to tell me to get the fuck out your store or give me back your 20 give me back my 20 bag, bruh. So there's a very thin line between trusting and not trusting. It's a marker away. So it's people who counterfeit money and you don't even know the difference. So what I'm saying is that the spell is the dollar with itself. It says, "In God we trust." Like that's a trusting ass situation. It's also letting you know that's a spiritual device because God is a spiritual apparatus. Right on a dollar bill, it says, "In God we trust." So once again, and you know it's a spiritual apparatus because they utilizing their ancestors. On each and every dollar bill, it's a different ancestor. On each and every different coin, it's a different ancestor. That's a spiritual apparatus that's connected to divine authority, and it means something. That's why it's got the power associated because they're using their ancestors. They're using their spiritual apparatus. And this has always been existing where you have governments, where you have policies, from cowrie shells to online banking. Anytime you're doing some form of a transaction, you're going to have an emotional response. When you get a sale, when somebody patrons your business, that is a spiritual act. And if you want more sales for your business, you have to get closer to the spiritual ritual associated with what you intended. You don't want money, you just want more subscribers. You want more sales. You want more commissions. You want more people to book you. See, if more people book you for your skills and services, what comes with that? Put it in the chat if y'all understand what I'm saying. If you get more sales, what is the natural occurrence that comes behind getting more sales? What is naturally going to come if you got booked more? If people went on your site and booked your service, what do you get from that? If you got more sales on your website, what is the natural result of that? You get more money. Therefore, the paper have more value based upon the things that you're doing. Have you seen that white charging? So there, this is the rundown. Let me charge you up real quick, guys. I'll be right back. This is the rundown. Money's power exists in our minds. If we don't believe in it, currency is just paper, metal, or something that we see on our computer screens. It don't really matter. But when we begin to work with our mind to start programming, I've done this shit since I was 16 and I was selling weed. And my friends, they did not understand it because we was just all in the hood. Imagine we just all on the northeast side. We don't know anybody, but we got this weed that we need to sell. I would I we had this is when cell phones first came out. I think it was Cricket. I think you got a Cricket phone. I remember my number to this day, 371-2333. And I don't do it as much, but I do it like on a like getting sales or whatever. But I used to I used to be addicted to just wanting my phone to ring. I would just stare at my phone and meditate on my phone ringing. I swear that shit worked. And niggas would be like, bro, like you just a natural salesman. And at that time, I wish I knew then what I know now. I'd have went crazy hard, OD hard, but I didn't know. If you want to make money, you got to know how you going to make it in a sense that you like say for instance, if you don't know how you going to make money, like you don't know what you're going to do, you got to figure that out, right? Once you figure that out, you got to start imagining that the money is about to come in through what you are doing. So if you painting pictures, your pictures is stick figures, don't kid yourself. But if you painting pictures and you getting a few commissions, you got to start imagining that you know you getting more and more commissions, and you got to start following your subconscious mind and follow your promptings and work hard and market yourself. Because the more that you believe in yourself, the more money that you will have. Because you're going to do the things to get the money. Once me and my wife, I'm like, bro, we just about to just market every single day. Like we just about to just work hard on a business. Ever since we said that, shit been good. Like no cap, shit has been great. And I realize it's more related to how my outlook is on the business. So I'm like, damn, I ain't getting no sales like I want to. It's going to create that energy. If I just know, and it ain't even saying, well, like, I just know sales is going to come, but I know I'm marketing effectively. If I'm marketing effectively, then generally it equates to more sales. My issue is I don't market and I'll be like, damn, I wish I was getting more sales. So many people want money, wish for money, will sell they booty on Craigslist for money, but understand it's just a legal tender, just a form of exchange. It's not going to save your life. You are going to have to develop a skill, talent, or ability that you're going to need, whether the dollar goes out of business and we're using Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. You're going to have to figure out how to manifest XRP if that becomes the legal tender. Money does not reflect God. Money reflects the law of man because a man created it. And any type of uh, convolution or comparison that it tries to make with God is just to 52 fake out you. It's all spell work, witchcraft, witchery. When you are free is when you are able to do whatever you want to do to a certain degree, but still be able to manifest and attract and take care of yourself. A lot of times people will be free doing whatever they want to do and get an eviction notice and get their car repoed and things of that nature because they haven't been standing on the business. So you don't get freedom without standing on the business, but you don't have to sell your soul to stand on the business. You just have to do what your soul tells you to do. And that is not sitting on your ass. That is not watching Netflix. That is not just chilling once you get off of work. So if you have a positive viewpoint and a prosperous, you don't have a scarcity mindset, you know that you'll have enough, then you'll begin to create, you'll begin to do the things that you need to do. You will show up. Niggas be wanting to make money, afraid to leave the house. That's not going to work either. You got to get out there. You got to get out of your comfort zone and keep repeating the processes that work. Know it's going to work out because you're putting the effort forward and you don't give up. If you give up, it's not going to happen. It might take longer than you expect. It might be harder than you expect. And I'm going to tell you that just to be real with you. None, like where I'm at today, it wasn't simple. Where I'm at today, it wasn't hard. And I'm not even done being where I'm supposed to be at. But I definitely have shifted from being afraid to not having a job to like understanding that you can actually do things in a metaphysical way and attract money in your life. But it is matter of fact. And you have to be accountable to what your spirit tells you to do. So you cannot be lazy. You have to work hard. It did require sleepless nights. It did require a lot of stress. But at the end of the day, it was for me and my family. And this is very ancient because most people aren't supposed to be outside of the house making money. You're supposed to be inside of the house making money, taking care of your family, taking care of your children every single day. They're not nobody else's responsibility. You did not pay for that public school. Them teachers don't owe you shit. If you can, take your kids out of that school and raise them and teach them. If you don't know how to teach them, learn and teach with them at the same level. And if you are having a positive mindset, if you are practicing blue magic, simply following the blueprint of your soul, you will always shift from being controlled by the government to being on top of this shit. So the dollar is a unit of magical energy, and the dollar bill itself is a magical talisman. It is a symbol of belief. So why am I telling you this? You must create your own magical talismans that attract money in your life. You must do your own rituals that attract money in your life. If you are the type of person that want to live a soft life and you don't want to do nothing to make money, then you need to figure that part out too. Because it might be hard work for you to not work hard to get money. If you want to meet a sugar daddy, be intentional about it. Stop fucking your baby dad every Thursday when he come pick up the kids, talking about him trying to manifest. The sugar daddy not gonna like it. He gonna come there and see your baby daddy laid up in his boxers. She gonna be like, if you manifesting a sugar daddy, manifest a sugar daddy. Don't go back and forth. How much is the sugar daddy gonna pay? You gonna give you a $7,000 a month allowance, right? Start acting like it. Bills carry mystical elements that command power through mass belief. Since everybody believed that the $20 is worth $20, no matter where you go in every store, you can buy anything with this $20. That makes it real, but it's still not real. It's still a piece of paper. I don't care how many people believe it. That, my friends, is magic. That, my friends, is witchcraft. That, my friends, is control. Understand energy, understand new moons, full moons, understand the seasons, understand your own personal seasons. Ladies, understand your menstrual cycle. Fellas, understand her menstrual cycle, right? And then create your sigils and your talismans in reference to what you want in life. What is your intention? Understand your magical intention must align with your physical intention. So a lot of times people say, I want to make $1 million and don't do shit to do it. Don't do a Shopify, don't do an Etsy store, nothing. How is that $1 million going to come? So what I've understood about this is that you have to create channels for money to come in your life. So imagine the river is across the field. You got to figure out how to dig irrigation from your house to the river. And once you dig the irrigation, the water just don't come overnight. It take a minute for the water to, you know what I'm saying? It got to build itself up. And this is what it's called marketing, developing your skills, talents, and abilities over time, getting your shit together. The better you get at what you do, the more money that you will make. If it's sitting there masturbating and bringing in money through masturbating, then you got to get good at it. It's people that do it. I'm just saying. Manifestation is just a simple process, but you just have to do everything and relate it to your intention. Don't say, I want to do this, but don't do it. Don't say, I want this, but not willing to put no action behind it. And then don't be in Florida talking about, man, um, I'm about to sell winter coats in Florida. That's not what people need in Florida. See what people figure it out. You got to figure out. It's let's look this up real quick before we get out of here. It's a Japanese concept. It's called pronounce ikigai. It's a Japanese concept that translates to a reason for being, a reason to live, encouraging individuals to find the meaning in their lives. It's about discovering what truly matters to you and living a life that is filled with purpose and joy. So it is broken up into like some, it's like a flow chart. So figure out, you can journal this. What is you most passionate about? What is the thing that you can do? Like, what is your skill? What is your talent? And ultimately, what is the thing that you're going to do once you figure all of this out? In reference to you, if you get to a point where you like, damn, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know, da 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 da. This is where you get to develop at. When I was a young person, I was just like, man, I wish I was just talented like all these other people. I didn't realize that I could develop and grow into that talent. So don't doubt yourself. If you see something for yourself, feel yourself to learn it and get better at it. And come forward the next month, the next week, the next year, ready to go. So I say all of that to say that make it sacred. Make everything that you do sacred because this is what the government is doing to control us. They're using magic, they're using sigils, they're using talismans, just doing magical stuff. And it hits millions, if not billions, of people. Now, if you started to do your own magic, If you started to do your own magic, it might affect 10 people or 100 people or 1,000 people. Those people that you affect with your own magic is going to be enough to pay your bills, allow you to live your life the way you want to live. But you have to do your own magic. What is your magic? What is your intention? What are you living for? What is your purpose? And then once you figure that out, what is the rituals and magic around it, surrounding it rather. So, like I said, man, I just wanted to really just go through this quick, not even really long. Just wanted to just share for real, um for people, because I know what it's like to want money or feel like you need money and short on money and stressed out, because shit, I go in and out of that in real life. So, but when I mean go in and out, I know why I'm out, and I know how to get back in. And it is through the magic, and it is through the ritual. And a lot of times you could be scared, you could be afraid, you don't know how to start, you don't know what to do. But really, you just have to trust yourself. You have to set an intention. You have to do some work. And then once you set that intention and do that work, that next day align with what your intention is. And that's how you make the magic happen. It might seem like, damn, I've never done this before. I'm afraid if it don't work. Like, trust me when I say, if you're willing to do ritual, but also act like it in real life, you will connect the dots. Okay. Appreciate you. And that's all I'm really trying to do. I'm really trying to just present information to the average person and them to tap into their own magic, their own soul. And a lot of times, some people get it, some people don't. And that's okay. But I'm happy that you're able to get it and understand the power of your soul. And doing this, this is what I've seen in people. This is what I've seen in myself. And I want you to have a great life. I want you to be prosperous, but I also want you to understand that you have a responsibility to your soul to be the best version of yourself. So any form that you doing, you know what I'm saying? If you got one leg, you got one leg. But if your ass just sitting back watching goddamn Netflix and not really applying yourself, you need to get up off your ass and hop up on your good foot and get the work done. Because it's not about meditating in spirituality. More is it to get out in this real world and create and manifest from your personal intention, just so you can see how powerful you are. All right. And break all spells, break all curses, remove all blocks. Ashe. And I will see you all on the flip side. This has been another edition of the Shift Report. I'm your host, the Hood Mystic, and this is where shift happens.
The Shift Report with the Hood Mystic, where shift happens.